I tried to be as least probably not give him any kind of problems with anything. You know? But I'm like, I'm a rules guy.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to know what they are, because what I see is the guys that don't, if you don't have any rules, the guys that are used to follow them, they're the ones that's gonna get screwed.
Yep.
Because the guy down here that bend them and everything, they're gonna take full advantage of it. And I didn't want to ever make them mad, upset them.
Right.
I'm like, just tell me what the rules are.
Welcome to the Mark Smith Podcast. As hunters, fishermen, and outdoorsmen and women, life has been a journey that's taken us to high mountain peaks and low river bottoms. We've had ups and downs, trials, tribulations, and in the end, we find joy. Joy only found through the good news of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. These are our stories, so pull up a seat, lean in, and enjoy. Now, let's get to the episode.
Like the hat?
I like the hat.
I figured I was coming to the den. I might as well.
You got that's the membership card right there. You got your hat on. Hey, everybody. So welcome back to the Mark Smith Podcast. And I'm really excited to share it with a brother in Christ and one of the best East Texas big whitetail buck killers I know, Mr. Jackie Campbell. Thanks for being here, Jackie.
Glad to ask me.
Yep. So the reason Jackie's here today is we finally got him into a Weatherby. He saw the rich kids from Dallas carrying nice Weatherbys around on the lease and said, "Hey man, how do I get in the cool kid Weatherby club?" And I was able to get a hold of Weatherby, and you got him it's your first Mark V?
Yeah.
It's a Mark
V. Well, it's not my first Weatherby. It's my first.
It's your first Mark V, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the Live Wild Remy Warren edition, and it's a 257 Weatherby mag. So I think you're welcome to the club, the cool kid club. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
I do too.
Yeah, it's got fantastic ballistics, and that's a nice handy rifle. Well, we figured while we had you here today, Jackie, I'd like to introduce you to the following of our podcast, just because several reasons. Number one, you're just a good guy. And I know you don't take compliments well, and you don't like being told that, but you are. You're one of the good guys. And when I first got on the lease, I didn't know you. I had not met you yet. And like in all deer hunting culture, you have cliques, and then you have almost turf wars, and you have guys that don't get along. And you, my friend, were involved in a turf war, from what I could gather early on, because one guy said you had moved in on him. And so all I had was one side opinions of who Jackie is. But then the very first time I meet you, I was down there and I killed my first hog on the lease, if you remember that.
Yeah.
I killed a big old 200-pound boar. I sat down there in the dark.
Yep.
I said, I'll just sit till dark if I have to. And I did. And I had my little AR platform, 300 blackout. Pow, I shot one in the dark. And then I was like, now what do I do with it? I didn't realize it was that big of a hog. And a 200-pound boar is, if it's your first East Texas hog, it's pretty big.
Yep.
That's a pretty big chunk of meat to move around. So I went back to camp, and you were there, and I met you. That's when I met you. And you said, hey, I think I can drag that on my four-wheeler. And we took a strap and put him around that hog, and you drug him back to camp for me. And I thought the world of you ever since, because you've been nothing but a good guy. When I first got on the lease, they were saying, well, this is so-and-so, and this is kind of how he is, and this is so-and-so. And then I asked Tommy Young, our mutual friend, I said, well, what about Jackie Campbell? Because he's a good Christian man. He sings in the choir, and he's a good hunter. You'll like him a lot. And I was like, okay. And that has proven to be the fact ever since. So it's good to know what people say about you behind your back, right?
It is. Sometimes.
Especially coming from that crew.
Oh yeah. You can't ever tell.
And so since that time, that's who you've been to us. Just a straight guy and straight shooter and helpful, and just a good, you've become a good friend, but you were a good deer lease member. But then kind of early on, I realized you're kind of the guy to beat too. So if you're competitive, you've been a very good model of, I lived out west for 20 years before I came back to Texas. This lease we're on in Jefferson, Tuscumbia, that's my first deer lease experience. That's the first deer lease I've ever been on. And so I had to learn rules. I had to learn Texas law. It was almost like you need a degree in law and biology to be a deer lease member. Truly, it's like, that's a whole different world from where I came from, where everything in this room, up except the whitetails, is all public land managed by the state. You get a tag, you go, and you just follow the laws, but there's a few Forest Service rules and things like that, but there's no rules. There's just rules, regulations of the state, and that's all you had to follow. And so when I got on the deer lease, man, there is etiquette, there's state law, there's Larry Stokes law, and then there's Wade Sparks law. And there's all these different laws, Alex O'Felix laws, and all these things you have to learn the nuances of people. And watching you kept your head down, you kept to yourself. You didn't go to the drinking shed much. That's what we call the porch where everybody goes and drinks beer and whiskey on Saturday night and have a good time, deer lease. But you stay out of trouble and you stay off the radar because you don't engage in that part of it. You stop in, you're friendly, say hi, eat a bowl of chili, tell everybody bye. But then something else I noticed is every Saturday night, regardless, you went home. And I'm like, man. And I almost felt like, man, I wish Jackie would hunt on Sundays a little bit, because if I could catch Jackie hunting on a Sunday every once in a while, it'd be okay if I hunt on Sunday, because I've always struggled with hunting on Sundays, right? And there's two things to that. Number one, you live in Longview. You live 20 minutes from the deer lease, 30 minutes.
It's a little further.
Okay, less than an hour.
Yeah.
So you can come up on a Thursday after work, or you can take off early on a Friday and get an extra set. Because the key to success in East Texas, we all know, the number one key to success is time in the stand.
Yep.
And when you're coming from Dallas like us, man, it was hard to pack up Saturday night and go home when you had another whole day off.
Yep.
And so I started dating or flirting around with, I'd go to Mobberly. I even went to the Jefferson Baptist Church a little bit. Went listening to them one day, and I'd go to Mobberly because I have local friends and family that go to Mobberly, so I could go hunt till 9, take a shower real quick, run to church, and feel like. But it always felt like I was checking a box.
Yeah.
And Jesus, He doesn't want us checking boxes. He wants us living in the Word. He wants us in your community, living and being part of that, be a part of the church. Don't go to a church to satisfy checking a box. Be involved. Right. And so Travis and I always admired the fact that you like hunting as much as I like it. If you may like it more. You're out smoking limits of squirrels with your 22s on Saturdays. You'll come up in March and kill hogs. Like, you're a year-round hunter, so you're a real live hunter. But you have your priorities in check. And for a man like me, you're late 50s, I'm guessing, maybe close to 60, over 60?
66.
66, wow. 10 years older than me, I'm 55. Even at 55 years old, you can look to a good man for an example and say, hey, this guy's an example of what we all should be and how we should be. And Travis and I have had that conversation behind your back many times. And I actually talked to Tommy Young about it. And he was like, no, that's because, if you're out posting stuff on social media and you're telling the whole world you're out hunting and they know it's a Sunday, then you could become a stumbling block for somebody and say, well, if Mark says it's okay, just like see me with a can of beer in my hand. You're never going to see me on social media with a beer in my hand. Yeah. Because you might see me at deer camp with a beer, a cold beer. I'll come in, I cut weeds, whatever. I might have a beer, but I don't get drunk. But someone on social media sees me drinking that. Well, Mark can drink. Well, Mark don't have a drinking problem, but this guy might. Well, same thing with hunting. I don't want to ever be a stumbling block for somebody that is struggling with that, right? And I don't want to be that person that kept them from going to church, whereas here you are being an example of what we should be. So with that said, and I've done most of the talking, what is that in you? What is that about you that tells you this is my compass? And this is why I'm packing my camper up Friday night and I'm Saturday night and I'm going home. Like, what is it? Just knowing that's right for you, or because that's the right thing to do?
Well, it's all from the Bible, and I forget which book in the Old Testament they talk about a plumb line. When my kids graduated from high school, I had a brand new plumb line and I engraved it with that verse. And it was God, one of the prophets saying, he told the prophet, he said, what is that? He said, it's a plumb line, and that's for Israel. That a plumb line, you can whack it and it'll go everywhere, but it's always coming back dead center. And that's kind of what I do, because I'm not near as good as what you're sounding like. But, I think God he doesn't expect perfection. He expects you to be working toward it. And that's really what we're doing, it's that we're striving to get there. And nobody will make it until we go to heaven. But um, it is setting priorities. I don't really can't say I don't ever hunt on Sunday, but if I'm out in a place and we have an annual dove hunt, and a lot of times I'll hunt that Sunday morning because there's really not an opportunity to go to church. But I'm usually setting out in the field, not hunting much, but talking to my son that I don't get to see much, or my son-in-law, my dad. So it's not, I used to be really hung up on the Sabbath, but the Bible tells you that, don't let anybody criticize you about your Sabbath. It's all about the heart. Once you got that lined up, I try not to hunt on Sunday. I generally go home because I'm involved in choir and church, so I support all that. But if for some reason, if I had family up that was out of town, then I wouldn't say I wouldn't hunt on Sunday. Uh, so it's not like, the Sabbath, keep it holy, but the Sabbath nowadays is when you want it or it's in your heart. So it's a little different, and you got to self-check yourself, make sure you're not justifying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's same thing like drinking. I don't. Bible doesn't say anything about it. It does say about abuse of it. I just never have really liked it, and I don't want to go there. I've got really bad temper, and people haven't seen it in years. I just don't want to go there, not be in control of myself. So,
Yeah.
I love going to talk to the guys, but I don't have much patience with drunk people.
Yeah.
To me, it's not funny. There's a little bit, the guys at camp sometimes, and they're enjoying it. That's fine. I mean, but that's why I leave. I go and talk to them, say anything, see what kind of good food we got. That's
Yeah.
always a good deal. But then I go do my own thing. So,
Yeah.
but it's I've been I would say when I was 8,
8 years old.
and been in church involved. Of course, I haven't had a perfect walk. Um, but as I get older, that's again priorities. I've killed, and how it always is as well. After you've killed all you want to kill, it's easy to sit back but I still want to kill big deer.
Yeah,
But
you do.
I can go later.
Yeah.
So it's it it comes around. You take care of God, just like the Bible says. You take care of His things first. Everything else just kind of falls in
Yes,
place.
sir.
So
I love that. That's perfect. And just know that about you, Jackie. Know that you've made that impact on other people, and that God loves that. We see you. We see what you're doing, and it's been just. It went from a struggle to it's not a struggle anymore
hmm.
because you made it look. Because you're one of the kindest guys, helpful, straight up killer, and you're a good shot, and you didn't have to give up nothing to have success, and you're doing the right things. I guess that's what it comes down to. I've known so many men, especially at our age in life, later in life, that said, I always wanted to follow the Lord. I wanted to fully commit to the Lord, but I felt like if I gave myself, all of me, to the Lord, He would take this part away that I like. And almost all of them, once they fully submitted to the Lord, that all got better for them.
I
That
had the
outfitter I go hunting with for bears, and John Rivet, he said that in his testimony will make you can't stand there at the skinning shed with John Rivet skinning a bear and leave not in tears when he gives his testimony and tells his story. And he did that night when I was down there, and he was saying, because he'll cry, he'll start crying because it's so emotionally. He just loves the Lord so much, and he was telling me his testimony, and he just starts outwardly crying to where every man standing there is crying, and he's like, I have the most premier. He takes Luke Bryan bear hunting. He takes Joe Rogan and Cam Haines bear hunting every year. Like, he's the premier guy. That's not that tip what some people's salaries are, right? Like,
yeah.
he is not to talk about his business too much, but he thought at one time, if I quit doing what I love, I'll have to give it all up.
Mm-hmm.
I submit to the Lord. The Lord has made him the premier at something, and now he that's why he gives his testimony and preaches the gospel to every man that comes through that shed, almost like a Phil Robertson type. Like, you're not going to come out of that bear camp either. You may not get saved and dunked in bear camp, but you're going to leave knowing who Jesus is, and that's how you are. The Lord is just all over you and everything you touch, and when there's even mishaps, how you handle things. When I first got on the lease, Tommy told me I could use a ladder stand. I grabbed it, went out in the woods, and you came to me kind of firmly, but not. You said, "Hey, do you have one of my ladder stands?" I said, Yeah, one that was down there in my barn. I go, yeah. He goes, you go, well, that's mine. I said, oh, I'm sorry. Tommy said I could use it. He goes, well, that's not Tommy's stand. It's like, okay. I thought, man, I'm fixing to get my butt whooped. And you said, no, you can use it. I just need to know where it's at. It's mine. I was like, okay. And that's like the only thing that's ever even, 10 years of hunting together is, and that's because I didn't know, that you got to watch Tommy Young too,
Oh yeah.
because he told me to take Bussie's feeder down the woods, and I got ate up for that too. But so not to make you uncomfortable, Jackie, we love you to death, and the longer we stay friends, become friends, the deeper that friendship gets, and we're friends with you for the right reasons. We don't want nothing from you. We just love that you love us, and that you're just a Christian, good man, and man, you're a formidable killer. And so I watched you over the years. I was only on the lease, I think the second year. I got on in 2016. And then and I didn't even see you that year until it was 2017 in January when I killed that hog. That's when I actually met you. And then in the fall of 2017, I didn't see you a whole lot. I was still kind of normal then. I would work and come to the deer lease like a normal person. And then in 2018, I was fully engulfed down at the lease all the time. And I was there the morning you killed your big buck. What did he score?
155 and 5/8.
155. East Texas. So for me, that's a lifetime goal. A lifetime goal for me is I want a 150 gross whitetail in East Texas with my bow. That's like my lifetime goal. I'll take it with a rifle.
Yeah.
But my goal is so every year my goal is to get as close to Pope and Young as I can. If a Pope and Young class, that's why I have all these 125s. If he's Pope and Young class with a bow, it's just hard to pass that at 10, 15 yards.
With a bow.
And so I shoot all those 120-inch deer. But if I had a 150 and knew I had him around on camera, or someone else knew about him, I could hold my trigger, because I know that's my goal. That's what I want. And I had not seen a deer like that until that morning, November. I want to say it was November 10th or 11th of 2018. And you sent that picture, and I went, because I knew that was the deer that Alex had pictures of with that crab crawl front. Yeah. I was like, golly, that is a big deer. Wow, that is really big. And then I went down to the skinning shed, and you already skinned him out, and I was holding it going, oh my, this is a man deer. It's full grown man deer right here. This is what I want. I want that. But you're the only one that's gotten one like that. Tommy killed that 150 something back in the day in 2004. Yeah, and then I think our biologist, that was the second biggest deer that was probably shouldn't have been killed or whatever. But so let's say y'all been on Tuscumbia for 30 years. It's been about 30 years, 2 150s taken by members that hunted hard and got to say, I'm going to get one, is you got to have one first. Yeah. And in that soil we have, that sandy river bottom soil, realistically 130, 140 is about what that you can hope for. 150 is just that upper tier. But you're one of those guys that you got it done. And then I started watching how you hunted, and you're just a low impact. You were all business. You show up, you only go in and check your cards at night. You're not down there fiddle messing around during the day. You're not squirrel hunting around your feeders and shooting pigs all night. You were serious, and you had a plan. You came in at night, checked your cameras. You would figure out your strategy. Then you had 2 or 3 stand locations that you would hunt in and around. And then I noticed you were consistently, if you didn't kill the biggest buck every year, it was close. You were consistently shooting mature, older, better class deer than anybody else consistently on that lease. So Travis and I both are watching what you're doing, and really, to sum you up in a couple of words, is less is more. Less impact, less just, I don't have to, you're not grinding Friday night, skipping work Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday all day long, Sunday all day long, and then stay until Monday. You slide in on Friday night, slide out Saturday night, but you knew you had next weekend. And then 2, watching you started killing some of your better deer really late in the season. That one year you shot that real nice 4-year-old with your muzzleloader. Yeah, that was a cool deer.
It was. It kind of looks like that one over there had the splits at the bottom and everything.
Yeah,
they look similar.
Yeah, real that dark. One over here.
Yeah,
that was
real dark horns.
Yeah, real dark. That was just a cool looking. That was a 4-year-old deer, according to the taxidermist that judges them all. That was a 4-year-old deer. Heavy. He just, for whatever reason, didn't have long main beams. Yeah. But, when I shot that deer, had a broke jaw. His jaw was just flopping.
Really?
And I don't
I
know if
gotta
it was
remember
like
that.
that when I shot him or if he fell in a bunch of cypress knees. And he did have some dirt in his teeth. So either when
Might
he
have broke it
cratered, he
then.
broke it, but both jawbones were broke. But he wasn't skinny. He still had fat on him and stuff. So, yeah, anyway, tangent there. But that muzzleloader buck is one that always stood out to me. And then the year I killed Ocho, my biggest one, I killed him with my bow. That's my biggest Jefferson deer. You killed a really wide 8-point with good eye guards that year. Very similar, probably heavier than that one. It was a
Not as
nice,
wide.
yeah, that was a nice, I remember that was a nice deer. But I can almost remember every deer you shot because every one of them were memorable. It was like you didn't kill a cookie cutter 3-year-old 13.5-inch wide 8-point just to shoot a deer. So that was a good model to watch. When did you stop shooting those deer? Like, how long ago have you been in the mindset that you're in right now? If we're trying to get into the mindset of a trophy hunter or a mature deer killer, when did you say, you know, if I don't get, here's what you say. If I don't get one this year, it's okay. I just want the right one. When did that happen for you?
Well, it was in two stages. I was growing up. It was East Texas, and you shot pretty much what you found. And I shot a few nice 8-pointer, but whatever. And then I came to work, and I got out of college. I came to work in Houston. We had a big lease out in Uvalde, and it was loaded with deer. So I was actually able to watch deer and be a little more picky. Back then, when my kids were growing up, that's all we ate was deer meat. I tried to put at least 6 in the freezer every year, and
Yeah.
I'd go out there with a lot of the guys would kill deer, and they'd take the back strap. I'd take the rest of the deer, and I'd come out with more meat than they did, and never cheat a deer. But we ate it. I mean, we ate it a lot. I love hunting, and I don't have problems shooting does.
Yeah.
Um, but I got to be a little more selective there because you get to see more deer. West Texas is really great for that because you actually get to see a lot of deer. And then coming back here, I've always, when we were on management earlier, we could kill cull bucks, so I could get my meat with the does. And we back then we never killed enough does according to the management program. I would kill them and put them in ice chests and give them to people. Say, look, I'm going to kill the deer because if we're going to do this, let's do it right.
Yeah.
If you want the meat, you just don't. Because a lot of the guys, the older guys in East Texas, they still don't want to shoot doe. They're just not good. You
Yeah.
don't shoot doe. So I'm like, I'll shoot it, put it in the ice chest, and you take it. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there was an exact time. I mean, I always try to shoot a deer bigger than the last one.
Yeah.
But when I shot that 155, there's going to be very few far and between.
Yeah.
So I always look for older deer and something a little different. They're just, I can see a deer. It's like when I go to gun shows, people are like, what are you looking for? I don't know. When I'll be cruising, I go fast and I'll see something that catches my eye.
Yep.
The muzzle loader one was a really neat one because I used my old 54 trade rifle.
Yeah.
And I was hunting off my bow stand because I couldn't, them sights are hard to see when you get older.
Yeah.
And we hadn't seen him very much. He was one, toward the end of the season, that's when you start seeing the bucks. When we were on management, it didn't finish till end of February. I loved hunting February.
Yeah.
Because you saw a buck, you saw 4 or 5. They were all back together. And like that one, I had a picture or two of him, but when he showed up there, I'd never seen him. I'd had a picture or two of him. So I don't know where he was, but he come in at the right time for me and the wrong time for him. But I love deer meat. I'm not home enough. We don't eat as much as we used to.
Yeah.
I give a lot of it away. I have friends at church that, they either like deer meat but don't have anywhere to get it, or maybe they just don't, they're a little bit in a bind right now. I've got a good friend at church, and he was a house inspector, and he fell and broke his leg. Well, he's out of work, doesn't have insurance. Well, we've got 2 bags of deer meat that we're fixing to take to him because I love just helping people like that, especially people like, well, I don't like deer meat. Well, you've had bad deer meat.
Yeah, you need me to cook it for you.
Yeah, or prep it right. That's the biggest thing. But anyway, I don't know if there was a set time. It's just, like I said, after the 155, I just try to find, I'm always looking like you for something bigger or close to it, but something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned to trust because I know how to kill mule deer. I mean, I was hunting all over the West. So I come back to East Texas. And when I left East Texas in 1994, there was no 13-inch rule. It was I hunted all over as guests with people and stuff. And there was no talk. If it had an antler, you could kill it. And we did. We 4 points,
Yeah.
6 points. I've got Rubbermaid tubs full of stuff like that. 6 point little old bitty basket racked 8 points that I was proud of because you just didn't. If you saw it, you just shot
Yeah.
it. And then when I came back, that's why it's so important. I've learned to, as an older man, don't try to relive old memories. Don't try to relive something. Have new experiences all the time because if you try to go relive something, you're going to screw it up, and it's never going to meet the it's never going to meet the expectation. So when I came back, I was on a vengeance to go kill me an East Texas whitetail buck, and hunting there with Tommy out at OG's, I never even killed. I killed some does and spikes, but I never could. And I was nothing over 13 inches. I just could never make them
Yeah.
look old enough. Or so I had to learn what older mature deer looks like because you're not. It's not about hunting. It's about managing. You're
Yeah.
managing what's on this property. It's
Yeah.
hunting skill is one thing. Land management's a whole nother thing that I had to learn. So I started I was always struggling with, I just want to get some stacked up. I want to kill some deer. I want to get back to killing East Texas deer, but I can only kill one. It's got to meet this criteria. So I couldn't, that's why I started off slow killing, smaller bucks like that 9 point. And that 8 up there shouldn't have killed that, but it looked really good going through the woods, grunting, chasing a doe. And I shot him with my bow. But then when I started targeting deer, like that 8 over there, that one's 126. I targeted him because I saw him. I knew he was Pope and Young. I was like, man, and that one I was very, very proud of that deer when I got him. And of course, that one I knew for 3 years and got him. But once I started targeting specific deer, that changed the game for me because now I want to hunt those deer. And everybody else on the lease, and you know who they are, they act like there's way more bucks out there than are really out there.
Oh, yeah.
Once you start getting enough cameras, because we share information. Like, hey, we came to you this year. Hey, we're willing to not shoot this if we know you're willing to not shoot that. That's terrible, but it's the truth, right? Because the last thing is if Travis would have passed that 4-year-old 10 point that we're talking about, that would by far be the biggest deer he ever killed, right? By far.
That's hard.
And then, but his heart is good, and if he was like, hey, I know for a fact Jackie won't shoot that, we'll honor that. And just like Larry, one of his wide bucks that's young, I seen it when I was rifle hunting. I could have killed that sucker, and boy, I wanted to. That thing's like 19 inches wide.
Yeah.
And I saw it cross power line down there, and I could have shot it. I was hunting with a gun that day, but I knew Larry had passed that deer. And once Larry's passed it, it's almost like it was ear notched, like he already notched that one. Okay, well, I ain't going to shoot it. Next year, I'm probably going to shoot that deer. He's going to be 5 years old. He's going to be a whopper. But appreciating, so that conversation is hunting is hunting. You're hunting, develop your hunting skill is in a whole bracket of its own. And then land management's its own bracket that we've had to learn about. So, we didn't even start planting food plots. So just a couple of years ago, and so we finally went for a drive through the winter one time, went down through your area. It's like, my gosh, this thing's like a park down here, man. Like every limb's picked up. The grass is ankle deep, green, lush grass, deer not even scared, eating, looking at the truck drive by and stuff. Like, man, what do you got going on down here? So we started planting rye and putting that effort into it.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is creating a nice, calm habitat because, and the reason you do that, and this is a great East Texas conversation, and it goes right into the mishaps. I've shot deer I shouldn't have shot because it's East Texas. I'm hunting in the woods, and here's the scenario. I've sat here 7 days. I've not seen a deer. Because if you're not sitting on a corn feeder and you're going to hunt a mature buck in the woods, you can sit in a spot for 6 days and not see a deer.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there not seeing a deer. Then when you do see one, your brain immediately tells you that's bigger than it actually is. And he's grunting and he's behind a doe and he's 13 and a half, 14 inches wide. That thing looks really good. So it's like, here he comes. There he went. Was he legal? I don't know. I ain't gonna let that happen again. The next time one comes through grunting like that, boom, you shoot him. Guess what? He's 12 3/4 inches wide. Yeah. But if you create a nice habitat, and if you're a rifle hunter, you can sit back and watch what you created. And as those bucks go through there, you allow them their space to be what you have a lot better success than being like I'm hunting public land on my deer lease. that just makes it harder.
Yeah.
And then so when you have it in your mind that, hey, there's this, he, like Travis, for example, this year, we set him up for failure bad. The way that whole thing went down. Hey, he's going to come out here. He's going to be moving fast. He's going to come by. He's going to be doing this. And it's either you're going to shoot him or not. And so he's like, okay, damn, well, he shot the wrong buck, right? It just wasn't one that he was going to shoot. I've done that.
Well, yeah.
Everybody's done that. Luckily, his turn is come and gone. Unfortunately, he was at your spot. But I don't, that's like my elephant hoof in the room, right? I wanted to address that. But the thing is, hey, he's going to come out. Because that deer that he shot did exactly what you said is going to happen. That thing's going to come out through that gate, going to come across that gap. You better be ready because he's going to be coming. And all Travis sees is, oh, it's the big 6 point. No, it was a little 8 point. And you got to just slow it down. You got to take it down a notch. I've done the same exact thing. This exact same thing. Once I had it in my mind, I'm going to shoot that. The instant I see it, I just shoot it. And then it's like,
Yep.
Was that the right deer? I don't know what that was. Oh, crap. Then you go down there and you're like, well, I got to go eat some crow. Or sometimes you get lucky and it's bigger than you thought. That don't happen very often, does it? No.
Not very often.
But what we've watched and learned is slow down.
Yeah.
And if you don't get him today, he's around. And our lease is pretty awesome about the competitiveness of it because I've never not drug a deer into camp that someone didn't congratulate. Like, good job, you got one.
And that's a big thing. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. Like you pass them and you got to realize somebody else may shoot them. And that happened to me with one of the other guys a couple of years ago. I sat there and watched that deer for a while. He was a good, mature deer, but I'm like, it's not really what I want. And he left, and 20 minutes later, I hear a shot. So I called, I text the guy and I said, did they have a split G2? And he said, yep. I said, well, he was headed your way. I said, I'll come help you. So I went over and helped him find it and drag it out of the swamp. So
I had to pat him on the back the whole time.
And, that's where you share their experience, especially with your learning with your kids and grandkids. There's a time, and you should probably already there, but when my kids were growing up, I had to bite my nails and bite my everything when you become a guide.
Yep.
Because you see big deer. We saw them. We passed, my daughter missed some huge deer down there because she's a kid. She was 9 years old and half asleep, and I didn't act like I should have. I got mad because it's bigger deer than I had shot. He was a 145 at least. We watched him come from 800 yards and come across, and I'm trying to get her on it. You know how your kid find it in the scope, and they both could shoot real well. It just didn't happen, and I apologized to her later because I was mad the whole time.
What were you thinking?
Don't realize what you did if you hadn't been asleep. And then I switch and I just take them out, make them comfortable, sleep in the bottom. It's all about I'm a guide now.
Yeah.
If I get to shoot something that's beyond, and then because sooner or later, quicker than it should be, they're gone and you're back on your own. So there's always time to do your own thing. So
that as a child, I came from a broken home, terrible background. As a child, the only thing I ever wanted, I'm talking from 4 to like 10 years old, all I ever wanted was for my dad to take me fishing. And I can count on one hand how many times we went fishing. And every one of them, it was miserable, beat down, cuss fest. I would crap my pants. I was afraid to even ask to go potty. I didn't want him to help me go potty. I just pooped my pants. I get whipped for pooping my pants. I'm talking 6, 7 years old. Like, it was bad. That's how scared I was. But I wanted that experience with him so bad that I was willing to take the beatings. But he never was the kind of dad that was going to put his pole down and take his son fishing. It was, I'm fishing. You sit there, shut up, be quiet so I can catch fish. And I as a grandpa, I get so frustrated with my own children if I see dad or mom wanting to be the fisherman when we have their kid in the boat. You put that pole down. I'll throw you out of this boat right now. You put that pole down. It's about that kid fishing right now. I know it's your Saturday, it's your day off, but it's his fishing trip. Let's make sure he catches a fish.
Well,
and I'm
going to turn the tides on you. Not may embarrass you a little bit, but I admire you in a lot of ways because I know you're busy. I know you're a high energy guy. You got a lot going. And you eat, breathe, and sleep hunting. But to see you make time to bring your kids and your grandkids, and it's hard. I've been through it when especially that time if you're out there and they're on the gun. And here comes that 155.
Yeah.
But you're more proud for them to shoot than you would ever be. But I'll just turn the tides a little bit on you because I do admire that. It's hard. I know it is, but
I love it.
You've got a lot of stuff going, but to take your kids up there. I love seeing all your grandkids up there. It's just a lot of fun. So
They love that place. That's home to them. They're like, why don't we just live there? I think everybody, that Jefferson's just a special place. That Tuscumbia, that lease is special, and that's what's so special to me is growing up, Tommy and Larry, they were my salt and light. They were the guys on the hill that were models of success. So I know they were just men and had their shortcomings as men, but for a kid that had absolutely nothing, growing up watching Shane and Caleb and Josh get all that they got with these two men that worked hard, had beautiful wives, had nice homes, were trophy hunt. They were just model of men to me. Like that's who I aspired to be when I grow up. And I'm proud to say I got there. That's who I am. I'm a Christian, fatherly. I want that for them. But man, to be a part of that lease, Tommy and Larry brought Shane and Josh and Caleb up through there, and Rachel and Bogey. And then now I'm a member, and Travis is coming up through there. And now my grandkids killed they have their first fish. You look at all these pictures,
Yep.
Their first fish, their first duck, their first deer, there's so many firsts. Beaver. Oh, Beaver Slayer. He's right there.
First beaver.
Yeah. And so they have all these memories that I don't know that everybody gets what that place truly is to our families, like yours, children, and you and Wade and his daughter. He can tell you so many stories, and he's so proud when he talks about Adriana or whatever, his daughter. Yeah, he talks about her, and you just see it in his eye. Those were his best days hunting. Was he was in a stand with her, and she shot some pretty good deer up there, I think. So yeah, it's cool. It's just cool the history of that place, and I think he said. The last I talked to Larry, we were signing a new long-term agreement, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I don't know the details or anything, but yeah, it's, I've been doing it long enough. I've known people who have been on leases 25, 30 years, and then the land passes, and then they get a deal, hey, you're off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it'd be worse than losing family. It's me and Lori talk about all the time, but I go up there that's my time.
Yeah.
I love sitting in the tree. I sing, I pray. I just love sitting in a tree. I love killing deer. I love shooting squirrels. I like all of it. I love fishing up there. But when I go up there, it's when it's just me. Now, if I'm going up there to hunt with somebody or something like that, I love helping other people. But there's times like, my birthday every year, I take off and I go to Jefferson. And like, what are you doing up there? I said, well, I go fishing. Isn't it hot? Oh, it's hot on that river.
When's your birthday?
29th of August.
Woo!
Now, every year I go down there.
That's right. We're both.
But it's good fishing.
It's good fishing.
But it's just, I just get to do what I want to do, and I need that.
Yeah.
When you're at work and you're home, there's so much pulling you. I can go there. I don't have to do anything. Yeah. Do what I want to.
I can't wait to go get this thing muddy. I'm dying to get back down there, man.
Don't get too bad, because it's still going to be a while.
Yeah, I might have to have you. You might have to. I might be like Benny. I might be a road hunter this year. I want to drive me around. We went the last time, the day I killed my big buck this year, my big 8-point. I call him big. He was my nice buck. Carson, in the afternoon, I took him squirrel hunting, and we went on squirrel safari in that Jeep without a top on it.
Yep.
And because I told him, I was like, we can go walk through the woods. And those squirrels with two people walking, it's just so hard. Oh, no. I said, but we drive around that Jeep. You ever notice they just jump out on a stump and sit there and we'll drive by them? I said, let's just go in the Jeep. And we didn't even get down to the cattle guard yet. And he shot a fox squirrel out of one of those trees in camp with his 410. And then we got down in the woods, and we'd be cruising, first gear through that slough. And them cat squirrels run out there and jump on the side of a tree. And I would just I'd say, sit right here. He'd just sit in the seat with that 410. And I'd get out and walk around the tree, and that little squirrel come around. Pow, oh, Carson. One of the best days of my life. I told him that too. I said, man, because he killed it. Remember, I killed my buck. Yeah. And while we're sitting there talking about it, the doe that he was chasing runs back out, and he shoots her with my gun. Drop them. They're 20 yards apart, laying on the side of the hill over there. So we had that morning experience. And then that afternoon, we went on squirrel safari. Just me and him. Travis is out trying to kill a big buck, so me and Carson are on squirrel safari. And I looked at him, I said, man, this is one of the best days of my life. And Carson's very literal. He goes, are you serious? This is one of the best days of your life? Like, today was one of your best days of your life? I'm like, yeah, today was one of the best days of my life. He goes, yeah, I was part of one of the best days of your life. Like, Me and you would high five him. This is one of the best days ever, right? Yeah. And we go,
Yeah.
but he's so literal. He goes, today was one of Papa's best days in all of his life.
And I was a part of
and
it.
I was part of it.
That's right.
It meant so much. Yeah, it made me cry right now.
Yeah.
It meant so much to him that he was, but it was to sit there and just watch that kid just do that stuff, just with that 410. It was his great grandpa's old single. His great grandfather, my father-in-law, lived in Corpus, and they had gophers. Terrible. This is a two-part story. I got to tell you this. This is a great story. He had gophers, unbelievable, in his backyard, tearing up his beautiful backyard. They lived right down on the coast. And he was afraid to shoot his 12 gauge. So he went to the pawn shop one day, or gun show, and bought this $25 single shot break open 410. He sat there in his lawn chair with his tea and his cigarette. And when they come out in a subdivision, boom, and that 410, he said, was louder than a 12 gauge. Neighbors just raising hell with him. Oh, David, hey, David, what are you doing? So he's like, well, I can't do that no more. My daughter was there visiting in the summer. This is one of the funniest, worst stories ever. My daughter is a teenager. She just graduated high school. She's sitting in a lawn chair. Father-in-law sitting in a lawn chair in the garage, shirt off, smoking his cigarettes, telling war stories. And he's like telling my daughter how miserable he is about the gophers in the backyard. And he puts his hands in his head, not a praying man at all. He goes, God, just help me with these gophers. It wasn't 5 minutes later, my daughter goes, Papa, look. This giant snake comes into the garage, gets up in the car. They fight it for 30 minutes and finally kill it. And Casey, father-in-law says, Casey, look that up, see what it was. That was a gopher snake, Grandpa. He prayed to the Lord, help me with these gophers. God sends him a gopher snake. Isn't it as parable about the albatross or something? Like, yeah. I'm like, golly, man. And he's like, to this day, careful what you pray for and don't kill no snakes, man. he said, yeah, that's hilarious. But that 410 is part of that story. And so here's Carson running around with his 410 that I pulled out of some case and said, here goes. He has no idea of that whole backstory or our stories. In the end, that's really all we're left with is
I think
stories.
Part is one of the biggest things is it connects you to all that history.
Yeah,
I love old stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. My kids go nuts because I said, yeah, I've had that. It's older than you are. You know, when I pulled your hog out, it was a 3-wheeler.
Yeah,
my Honda Big Red, which I've had since new in '85, and I still have it. And the kids know it. You know, my first deer rifle I bought, they call Killer. It was my old .6, and those kind of things tie families together. And that's what the world's missing now. They don't have that. I don't have a long history because I haven't jumped around a lot, but I'm not where I was born in Alabama, so I didn't grow up there and have all that family history. But like I said, I used my dad's 30-06. You know, I used a really precious preacher friend of mine that married me. I use his 7mm mag. It's things like that to me that, especially when you're not just out there to shoot the next buck. I like something different. I love, hey, let's belong to so-and-so. I got my dad's, and of course it don't fit anybody in my family now. When he was squirrel hunted, he's got the old, I forgot, it's a red head vest and jacket he had. I've got all that stuff, and I love it. My closet's full of old junk, But to me, I love pulling out because that's, when we're all old and can't do any of this, people are like, well, why do you have all those mounts? Well, I think they're gorgeous, but it's all memories. I look up at my daughter's deer mount in my house because she's not there where she wants it yet. And I remember I was there when she shot it. It's all about memories. And that's really what you got on this earth anyway.
Yeah. We're building our treasure in heaven.
Exactly.
But we build our treasures here on earth. There's a couple of deer here. That deer right there was the gold standard for me growing up. That was my ag teacher's deer, killed in the Leon River bottoms in Leon County.
Really?
And I was a teenager. Fred Miller was one of the greatest men in my life. He was my ag teacher, and he was my best man at my wedding. And we stayed friends all those years. Now his son Austin is one of my best friends. And Austin he's sentimental about the guns and some of the nicer stuff, but some of the older stuff, he was kind of going through it. And so the day I had my grand opening, my 55th birthday party we had here in this room, he showed up with that. And he said, hey,
really?
This is the deer Dad killed when you were in high school, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, I want you to have it. and so we were able to hang it. That's how much it meant to them, knowing it would mean that much to me, you know. And as a kid, that was a huge buck. I remember going to Fred's when I was a senior in high school, and that's how things were back in '87.
Oh yeah.
I could go to my ag teacher's house, might even drink a beer with him,
Uh-oh.
load bullets, and he taught me reloading after school. And that deer was always hanging in his reloading room. And I'm like, man, if I could ever kill one like that, I'd just be, you know, Daniel
That's pretty
Boone.
cool.
And now I own that. And then same with that when my father-in-law's father killed that deer on that plaque in the 60s. Right when my father-in-law got back from Vietnam, they went to New York on a shotgun hunt, and he killed that deer.
That's classic old taxidermy there.
Yeah, if you
The
it's
eyes
newspaper.
and the plaque and the feet.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
glue and newspaper underneath there. But that thing's been honest since the '60s, and I'm not too proud to say that belongs in my man cave because
Oh, yeah.
that's your great grandpa. You know, that's his great grandfather's deer. And anyway, yeah, that's my dad. The last old Papa Bill, my stepdad, he won't hunt again. You know, he's at the end of his time here with us. I say that, but I know he'll never hunt again. But we went to a little place in Marble Falls in 2016, and me and him were sitting in a ladder stand together, and he killed that buck. And that was the last buck he shot. That's why it hangs here. So that would mean as much to me as any of the big Kansas bucks or
Oh yeah.
anything, you know. So yeah, I think that's one of the things I really like about you is the sentimental. You know, you send pictures without giving a narrative. I can look at some of these fancy guns you have, like your 22s and stuff. The 22 guys are a different breed because you have it like Anschutz and check. You have all kinds of nice. So you'll be like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. What are you doing?" You'll send me a picture of this real fancy, high grade, glossy loophole scope 22 with 3 or 4 squirrels. That's not just a picture of some squirrels. That's a serious dude. That's serious about squirrel hunting. And so then me and you started talking about guns, and you're like, "Hey, this year I'm going to kill a deer with my dad's old 30-06," and you did. And then the next year, like, I'm going to kill with my Preacher 7 mag that married me, and you did. And so those things, think you're a sentimental guy, and things mean something to you. So
yeah.
hopefully you get some good memories with that old 257 right there. I have a feeling it will.
It'll be in line this year. So I don't know if I'll hold for a deer or I'll kill a hog first, whichever comes out.
I'd have a hog dead with it by next weekend if I were you.
So talking about mentorship and being that for your children, who was that for you? Who was your example?
Well, it's weird as far as, you know, my dad, we were raised in church. My dad worked shift work, but, you know, my mom and dad were both Christians before I came around. And we were always in church. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. My dad was a deacon. As we grew up, me and my dad was the maintenance. We had a small church, you know, little Baptist church. We did all the maintenance work. You know, for a lot of life mentorship, it was my dad. You know, I was a lot more fortunate than you. I had a good dad. Of course, he wasn't perfect, and you know him a little bit.
Yeah.
He had his ways, but thank God he's still here. I just told you we went down to Houston yesterday on Valentine's Day, which is weird for him. It was his 91st birthday. So
Yeah.
as far as hunting though, he grew up in Alabama hunting over dogs, quail and rabbit. And I got to do a little bit when we moved to Texas. I remember he brought bird dogs, but in Texas quail hunting, unless you were rich, it was a rich man's sport.
Yeah.
So he kind of got out of that, and we did a little squirrel hunting. We always fished. And, you know, I didn't always get to go, but I remember every time he went, I would be standing out on the road waiting for the boat to come in, see what he caught. But he took me, we went when we could, because he did shift work, so he wasn't always off on weekends. So
Yeah.
he would take me fishing. Deer hunting is weird because he didn't really deer hunt. He was probably, I think I was in high school when he killed his first deer, and it was up in Arkansas. And that's where I killed my first deer over dog, with a little spike with a shotgun. But
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. You know, I got to go up there, and that's where the original Boggy Creek muster from.
Yeah.
I was in that bottom.
Down
was
there.
spooky.
Salty
Oh
River
gosh,
Bottom.
yeah, that's a whole lot different story. But he never was that much into deer hunting. I just got it, and it hooked me, and I took off. I mean, I love doing everything, but deer hunting is my big deal. That's why squirrel hunting now, I love it after the season, because when I'm squirrel hunting, I'm looking for deer. I still do. I just love deer hunting, but
Yeah.
I'll shoot anything. I just love it. And also, I love shooting. Like with the 22s, the squirrel hunting's fun. You're out in the woods and all that, but I love shooting 22s. That's why it is more just shooting than the squirrel, even though it's, hey, you can combine them both. You're out in the woods.
Yeah, but you've come in before too, and you've shot big hogs with your 10mm auto pistol
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's super cool, man. Like who has that story? I'm like, you're on your 4-wheeler. I was like, what'd you shoot it with? Open your coat. Oh, a 10mm. Oh my gosh, man.
I just love shooting.
Yeah, you just
muzzle
love to
loader
shoot.
bow. I don't shoot my. I used to love shooting recurve. That's what I started with, an old Damon Howlett
Yeah.
Bandito.
Oh wow.
That was a story because my parents, you know, they didn't have a lot of money. We weren't dirt poor, but we didn't have a spare money. And I remember I wanted a bow really bad, and my mom and dad went out to go Christmas shopping, and I was in the garage. I remember working on something, and he come in there. I don't know if I was in middle school, high school. He comes out and he holds his arm next to mine, and I think I'm getting a coat. You know, like he's like, yeah, I think it'll fit. I'm just, no. You know, I got there and he bought me a dozen Cedar Airs. I still have probably all but 2 of them.
Oh wow.
And I've got still, my son now has the
bow.
Damon Howlett, but I never
What was
killed
it called? A what?
Damon Howlett. I've still
Okay.
got the original receipt and the catalog. It was one of the lower ends, but beautiful bow. It
Wow.
was 55 pounds at 28, that first bow. So it was a little fun to shoot, but
That's
I
great.
shot that thing. I have a hole in my finger. I shot it so much. But I shot just fingers. I shot it all the time, and I got really good. But I didn't have any deer hunting. We didn't have a lease or anything, and I never killed a deer with it. And then
Yeah.
I graduated. When I got out of college, I bought my first real deer rifle, and I bought a bow. And I ended up in Uvalde shooting a little spike, ugliest little spike, but I was proud of it. But
With your compound bow?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a PSE Buzzard, top line then.
Buzzard.
Yep.
Wow.
The Hillcrest Archery in Houston.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I used to go to Hillcrest in the 80s.
Well, this was 82.
Yeah.
And I bought that bow and used it for a long time. Haven't shot any really good deer with my bow. And now I mainly I hunt out of climbing stand, and I'm getting a little leery of it. I'm still okay, but my shoulders, I've got arthritis bad, so I'm not sure I can pull mine. I know I'm gonna have to drop the weight. I'm gonna try again this year. But
yeah. What do you have now?
Right now, I have Greg got me. I finally got rid of that one because, you know, what are bows now? 15%, 20% let off.
75, 85.
Well, I think mine was a 60% add-on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was harder to pull back. You know,
Yeah.
the old 2 wheels. And he bought me a PSE GMAC. At the time, it was one of the hot speed bows. And
Yeah.
it's got a lot of vibration. It's not refined like they are now, but
Yeah.
I've shot a couple smaller with some does and smaller bucks with it. But I guess I got off the track when my wife thought she wanted to bow hunt, so I bought her a crossbow because they're just kind of big and unwieldy. But that's kind of what I've been using lately.
Yeah.
You know, and I've killed some hogs and some does.
You've shot some does since I've been on, I think, with your crossbow, right?
I've killed 2 or 3 does with it and hogs. And,
yeah.
You know, talking about my 22s, I bought a new Kimber Hunter, really nice 22, and I was hunting one of my bow stands. And first thing I shot with it was about a 185-pound boar. He come in there 20 yards, and I popped him in the air. I mean, I just like shooting. And,
yeah, man.
But
that's awesome.
Anyway,
that's awesome. Well, man, it's been a great conversation, Jackie. We might do one from the woods sometime, just sitting around the camp. And what we kind of want to do too is I get a lot of questions. There's perceptions. There's different perceptions. And I don't want to give away any secrets, but I want to help people because there's a learning curve about hunting East Texas, and you have 2 views. Some people think all of Texas is the same thing. You wake up in a nice place, you get in your air conditioner heater truck, you drive to a box, you climb in it, the feeder goes off, $30 run out, you pick the one you want and you shoot it, and that's deer hunting in Texas. Furthest thing from the truth, right? From mine and your experience. And then you have a crew of people that say it's the hardest thing they've ever done in their life. You'll never even see a deer. I wouldn't hunt East Texas if I had to. You'll never see a deer. Well, what I've done is I've learned to observe and watch how the bucks travel in relation to the does. And all of my deer, I don't think I've ever killed a deer off of a feeder for any of these deer, but I've killed them in proximity bow hunting them and treating my feeder like a point of interest, like a pinch point or a scrape. Like deer are always going to come to a point of interest downwind of it. And if you just treat your feeder like a
Oh,
like a
yeah.
point of interest, you're not setting looking at. I may not even see my feeder for where I'm setting. Where I killed him, I couldn't even see a feeder, but I
Yeah.
was in a route the does would usually go to.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And so we want to go out and do some how-to, like here's how we're doing it, and just do some educational videos of here's how the wind blows all the time in this scenario, and here's how we've always hunted it with a gun perspective. When I started hunting with a bow, all I ever heard was deer blowing over here. And so here's how I managed to figure out the piece of the puzzle I was missing, and this is where I killed the deer and how and why. And then show like a topo map with a wind direction, show the J hook, right? It's always going past the point of interest, catching wind of it, then easing into it. Once that's the secret sauce has been for me, bow hunting. With a rifle, if you can just see that spot from where 200 yards away, you're fine. But if you're wanting to do it with a bow, you have to get at the apex of the J hook, where they're going to come in downwind, but just upwind from you, right? So that's how so we're going to show some of that stuff. So if you ever see us down there filming stuff and you're like, I know a really cool scenario that worked one time. This is amazing. Let's share it, man. Just mic up and let's share it. We'll show some stuff what you do too, because it's
mine's gotten a little less refined because I've had less time. When you got on the lease, it reminded me of the way I used to be.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the time anymore. And I'm like, it made me. And I'm glad you have that high level of energy, which can be tiring sometimes.
Yeah.
But it made me excited. Like this gun, you were so excited. I was excited, and I love that.
Yeah.
So, but I used to hunt a lot like you do, but I've gotten maybe lazy, or it hadn't been where I've needed that drive. But the basics that you were talking about stay the same.
Yep.
People talk about, well, you got that feeder, the bucks. No, that feeder just like a food plot. It's just like an acorn tree.
Yep.
It's a point of interest. Now, I like the feeder because it also brings the squirrels in later on.
Yep.
So
And
there's a little difference.
Yeah.
We feed also to help.
Yes, for sure.
The deer,
Absolutely. Yep.
But the wind, it amazes me. A lot of those guys up there, that they don't pay no attention.
None.
When I tell them, hey, where are you going to hunt? I'm like, well, because my stands, I don't really have a good stand with a southeast wind. Most of mine are set up. I love setting up on the south side of an opening or somewhere, or where I'm watching, so I'm not fighting the stinking sun. I hate that. You can't see and everything. So I'm generally on the south side. But when my dad he would come out of the house and took a shower, and first thing hit you with his Old Spice,
Yeah.
And he had a box blind, and luckily most of it was prevailing north when he hunted, and it was the creek behind him. He couldn't see a lot behind him there on that road, and he did well. And you don't have to do all that, and you don't have to do this. And he was always hilarious because we'd come in. I was always the first one out and last one in.
Yep.
But even then, I'd come in, and he'd say, "Well, this is a time when all the deer are moving." Yeah, maybe, but this is also a time when I can see my dad or my brothers up there.
Yeah.
So I'm a serious hunter, but I'm serious about my family and all that.
Yeah.
So I do give up in the middle of the day.
Yeah. I've noticed that you only go to lunch when your brother or your father are up hunting with you, but there's a lot of Saturdays you didn't come in.
Yeah,
You sit down there all day long. You're one of the first ones I saw do that there, and or you'll change up midday. You might grab a sandwich, but you go get right back in a different stand and watch something different because the wind changed, or just because you want a different scene. But you're not sitting up there wrenching on your tractor, working on the ice machine, mowing.
I'm glad them guys are doing it.
Yeah, somebody's
it's nice to have the ice machine.
Yeah, but you're hunting, and so yeah, I've shot a couple of bucks now in the middle of the day, hunting all day long on Saturdays. That's pretty good stuff. So,
well, you like talking about lease etiquette. I go up there work and I can do all that, but when it comes hunting season, I'm gonna hunt.
Yep.
We've had some people up there and they just dilly dally around, and then everybody's here, so they want to do all their stuff. They get mad at me 'cause I'm hunting.
Yeah.
We have all year to do that, so you go do that before. And if there's an emergency or you need to help somebody,
Sure.
We've all shut down to go with the darn cow guys. We got cows out and we get them back in. Stuff like that's different.
Right.
But
No,
I'm not going to be moving stands, building, that kind of stuff.
Let's go fix some
I'm here to
things.
hunt. Even though I'm not near as serious as I used to be, I've prepared to this point, and I'm going to hunt. And that's why a lot of times I do go during the week because nobody's up there.
Yeah.
And I like being by myself a lot. I'm kind of a loner, but that's the other thing I've learned. It's my job. I'm real flexible. And my dad, they're like, everybody's like, well, you're always seeing, because I always, text them and say, I'm seeing these deer and seeing these deer. I'm like, I'm telling you, around the 15th of November, and me and Alex usually communicate, when you start seeing them run, you come work. I know my dad, because he was retired.
Yeah.
Get your butt up there.
It may not be a
and you'll
Saturday.
see more deer in the next 2 to 3 weeks than you'll see all year.
Yes.
And then again in December, and even, well, I had a picture of, it's the one that looked like the one Travis. There's one up there that looked just like the one Travis shot with his bow, but he looked like his little brother or his son. He's lighter horn, smaller. He was chasing those the last pictures I got 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You come across there, that head down there still. As long as there's a doe that's not bred, they'll keep coming in heat, and they're going to be looking. So.
Oh yeah, I think until the day them horns fall off, they'll breed whatever moves.
So you learn to maximize your time.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the luxury of a lot of time.
I this year, I skipped a couple weekends. I was like, man, I don't want to booger my hole up. And then down there at Tommy's where I hunt now, it was a Wednesday, and I was sitting here, and I got a picture of a doe running past my camera. And the next picture was a pretty good 8-point with his tongue hanging out. I'm like, oh, they're starting to chase. Within a matter of an hour, 4 bucks ran past that camera. I packed my bags and I was gone. And then that was on a Wednesday. On Friday, I shot my buck trailing the doe. They were just on their feet. And when it's hot, it's hot. You got to go. It may not be a Saturday that you have off. And that's what's so wonderful about working your whole life into a job of flexibility, because it's time in the stand. But the whole spectrum of 365 days, there's only 10 purely magical days that you're going to enjoy that hunting. The day you kill that 155, it was like that, right? Oh, yeah. He was out there broad daylight, 5.5-year-old buck chasing does, middle of the day, right, middle of the morning. Like,
yeah, it's, of course I say that okay, I'm just going to hunt during that magic time, but I'm usually there every stinking weekend. I just love being out there. When after season's over and I went squirrel hunting, it was 25 degrees and I was sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
And I text my brother. My dad texts us every morning, me and my sister and brother, and says, "Good morning, children," and we all text him back. So I just took a little selfie and said, in the tree stand, it's 25 degrees, it's been all the ice and that. We finally got out. And my brother texts, he said, "He's crazy."
You just love it, man.
Happy as a pig in a poke.
You love it like I love it.
I do. I just like doing that. I'm a little bit antisocial, but
that's okay. I've learned.
It's a recharge time for me.
Yeah. No, I thought you were antisocial, but I've learned you well enough to know, until you really get to know somebody or realize we have things common interest. This gun certainly brought you out of that, because I got more text messages from you in the last 6 weeks than I ever have. And it's fun. And I love it because you love it like I love it. Yeah. And I love that. And that's what I told Travis. I was like, man, I just love Jackie because he loves this stuff like we love it. And you couldn't tell that. You can't tell that on the outside looking in at who you are. But once you get inside and know, yeah, man, you're ate up with it just like the rest of us. And
I'm a little disappointed in you, though, because I was hoping he'd get me some kind of discount on that 85th anniversary, whether it be.
Yeah, well, I would love one too, man.
But I think if you got a 90% discount, I still couldn't afford it.
Yeah, because what about $10,000? Aren't they 12,000?
Yeah, I finally saw a price on one.
Yeah, so Adam Weatherby, you got a couple of fans that would love some of these 80-year commemorative rifles. Well, Jackie, we've enjoyed having you here today. It's my legs telling me it's time to go get one of my magic pills. It's been propped up here for an hour, but brother, we love you, and we're just so tickled that you came to see us here today.
Reciprocal.
And
I've enjoyed y'all up there.
Yes, it's really great, and I look so forward to year round is great at that deer lease, but fall has never been more magical than it was, because it's such a community, and everybody's just, it's electric. All of our electricity comes on about October, and man, we just get, I just love the texting and just the camaraderie and the fellowship it brings. I just can't wait here we are, it's only February, and I'm already waiting for the leaves to change colors and for it to get cool out. It'll be here before you know it.
Yep.
Well, we're sure glad you came. And, like I always say, Jesus only gave us 2 commandments: love God and love your neighbor like you love yourself. And we certainly love all y'all, and we love you, and can't wait to see you on the next one.
Oh, you got one?
Ballistic tips?
Ballistic.
Yeah, well, on these barns, you know how barns are. That's just for aerodynamics.
Oh, yeah.
And the bullets going to stay together. You're going to get all your
You
bullets.
said it shot well at me.
Oh, yeah. And that 92 grain hammer, that thing is 3,700 feet per second. That's what he killed his hog with, and I've killed 3 hogs with them. And it drops them like a.
But it holds together.
You can shoot them in the shoulder with that. I don't care how big a hog it is, it's dead. Yeah. Yeah.
I read a little bit about it, 'cause I'd actually never heard of it.
Yeah, you can get those going almost 3,600 out of 25-6.
When you get all this mess up together, you get it all in there.
Yeah, that goes. Yeah.
But this is really nice.
Yeah, this stuff was in bedrooms, closets, spare rooms,
I can imagine.
attics. It was everywhere. I had a pretty good barn in Colorado where I kept a lot of the mule deer and elk, but that row right there is Jefferson deer. Just those 4 right there. See, there's that one that's the baby of yours. Same brow
Yep.
tine, the 2 white spots on his cheek.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
The tight claw on the left.
yeah, he's definitely kin to that buck you shot. But I didn't even
Looked like it, but
it was my first one with a bow there, and he just I had pictures of him at different angles. That was when I first got on the lease, second year on the lease. I was 17, and when he stepped, it was a 190-pound deer. And so when he stepped out, I went, golly, boom, I shot him. But I didn't even think about it like, over this guy. And I went, it was a 3-year-old deer, and so I got him mounted. So the rule is if you mount it, you can shoot it. Well, I mounted it.